Hey guys, my name is Nico and I'm just crazy about gaming. Now today I got another little short review for you guys and it's another PS1 title. You may or may not have heard of it depending on, what your preferences of PS1 games are. So I have for you Dune 2000. Now, what is this game? It is a real-time strategy game. It was my very first real-time strategy game and it is my ugh, favorite real-time strategy game. Now, it's probably one of my favorite games for the system, alongside quite a few other games, but we'll get into that another time. But this game right here is just, it's awesome. To me, it's awesome. I mean, for you, it might be different, but it's my opinion. I love it. So I'm going to go over it quickly and, get all the important stuff out of the way. So, this game is taking place on a planet that's meeting certain destruction because three factions are waging an all out war against each other for this mineral called spice. Now, spice is the currency that is used on that planet. It's used to build up military operations and et cetera, et cetera. And these three factions want the spice for themselves. And whoever controls the spice controls the entire planet. Now, the three factions are the Atreides, the Harkonnen, and the Ordos. The Atreides are more of the civil people. They'll try to negotiate with, well, they'll try to negotiate, but they'll mostly fight back like the other two factions. And their special little item or special ability is that they are more air based. Now, they deal with more air units. Now, their special attack, per se, is a giant, like, well, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a giant air attack on your enemy's bases. You can call them in, and when you call them in, it uses up a whole bunch of your resources. But it's worth it because you get to destroy your enemy's bases. But there's a downside. If your enemy has built up like anti-aircraft guns or something like that, they're not going to do much. Now, the Harkonnen are the heavy hitters. They're the brutes. They're the real deal. They're red and they're scary and all that. And their special ability is to call in this tank called the Devastator. Now, the Devastator is a very powerful tank. And here's a special thing about it. It's really powerful, but once it's destroyed, well, once it's near explosion, or death or whatever, you can actually set it to where it will explode upon death, and anything around the radius of that explosion will die, whether it be your units or the enemy's units. And it's kind of bad if you have a whole bunch of infantry around a Devastator, and the Devastator is just like blowing up all the units and everything. So it's a hit and miss. Each faction has their little flaws and their advantages. The Ordos, on the other hand, works more in the stealth and sneaky department, and their special ability is they can call on this one special tank in order to change the enemy tanks or units to their side. So it fires this wave, and once it fires this wave, anything that's caught in the wave changes to what your faction is, which is the Ordos. And then that enemy fights on your side for a limited amount of time, or until the team changer tank. I forget what it's called, but whatever that tank is, if it's destroyed, then the enemy, they're like, oh, hey, we're fighting against our friends. Let's kill these guys now. So this game is real-time strategy, and it works really well. It's a lot of the maps, a lot of the areas that you'll be fighting in are desert, mountainous areas because it's a place called Dune. Yeah, it's figures, but yeah, it's a really interesting game. If you don't want to get into the campaign, there you can actually play multiplayer. If you have a second player, you can play either. I believe you can play with the multi-tap. I'm not sure. Um, Unfortunately, no. You can't play with the multi-tap. You can only play with two players. And the multiplayer, to me, it's fun. You can actually set bot enemies, which are, they can be set to easy, normal, and difficult. Like any regular strategy game. You can also change the color of your units. Yada yada yada. A whole bunch of other changes you can make, like how many units you can start with, the amount of spice and materials you can start with, and I think it's better to set the maximum amount of units. And it's not that much. You can only set 16 units at the maximum at the beginning of a multiplayer match. And at first, here's a funny little tidbit. There's this thing called the mobile base. Well, I didn't know what it was really called or what it did when I first played the multiplayer. So when I first played it, there's this huge truck, and I have a whole bunch of other units, and I thought the main goal was just to stay alive. So I would be running around the map with all my units, and the enemy is trying to find out where I am. They're all coming together onto me because I haven't actually built up my base yet. I'm just running around. All the other factions and teams have already built up their bases. So I'm still running around and I'm getting my ass kicked. And then before I die, yes, this game, it's not more selection. It's more like a cursor. So you're going to be doing a lot of pressing that control pad in one direction, then hitting the X or circle button to select your units. And I didn't realize that that truck was the actual base you're supposed to set up because you can set it up wherever you want. I didn't realize it was the base until I was about to die because I clicked on the mobile base right before I died, and then my base kind of like the base formed and everything, and then my base was destroyed by the other team, and I was kind of mad because I had no idea what was going on. I did read the manual a bit, but I didn't really pay attention. It happens. But anyway, if you happen to find this game, I would definitely pick it up. If it works, I'm happy for you because I don't really see this game that often at all. Like if you were to go to like an old antique store that sells a lot of like old video games, like a lot of PS1 games, you don't really see this title that much out there. It's kind of like Team Buddies. You don't see it that often. You don't see it in stores that much. But anyway, I would recommend getting this. It's a really fun real-time strategy game. The story actually has cinematic cutscenes with real people, but it's not that interesting of a story. It has bland characters. It's got the evil motives for each faction, what they're gonna really do with the spice, and then there's the turnaround at the end, like, oh, then we're doing this for our noble cause, or we'll destroy our enemies, or we're gonna do everything in silence. Each faction has their own little tidbits and their weird moments. To be honest, I honestly think the Harkonnen have the weirdest cinematics for their well faction, mostly because of this one guy that briefs you on each mission that you go on. He's like, "Oh, you must destroy the Atreides base. Go now. Bye bye." He puts a lot of emphasis into it, but it's really weird. But anyway, this is a really good game. I recommend picking it up. And that is my little short review. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and stay positive gaming, whatever, the spiel. I hope. I don't know. Anyway, goodbye.